decided to tune in. My name is Alex. That's Ryan. And today on the podcast, we have a special guest. He's going to introduce himself, so why don't you let them know who you are?
Hi guys, my name is Bono.
Yeah, so Bono is actually a high school student, so he's part of our next gen community. Yeah, so we're just going to, we also to note, young faces, if you're his friend, support. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow us, and also if there's other episodes you want to check out, don't forget to check those ones out. But yeah, so we're actually just going to dive right into why we're here. So Bono, why don't you tell us where it is you serve and what you do here at CIV?
So I serve here at CIV on the worship team. I play the drums here. I'm one of the music directors, and yeah, worship team.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. I guess maybe to just also dive into it, what made you want to serve on the worship team? Because I feel like we're all on the worship team and there's different reasons why we decided to join this community. So what made you want to be part of this?
I guess so I grew up with music. The first time I sang at church, I was 2 years old. So I was born singing and music and stuff. And then I think at the age of 14, that was my dad, because my dad was on the worship team already. So I would come watch him practice. And so I was maybe I could join, but I didn't know there was an age limit or something. So I was talking to Jolly maybe if I could join or something, but I was too young. So for 2 years I basically was annoying her to join. So yeah, then I got here. It was 16 I think is the age limit, 16 or 17. So I started at the Wave. So that's you were there, and that's when he came the first time in Canada.
It's crazy.
I'm not Canada, sorry. To Vancouver.
Winnipeg is not in Canada.
Yeah, so I didn't even know I was gonna play the drums. So apparently my dad told Jolly that I played the drums. So I just kind of got put into it without knowing. So yeah, I came here for a camp meeting. It was pretty fun. I didn't know how to play to a click. That was my second year of drumming. It was kind of crazy. So when we were performing,
Second year of drumming?
Yeah.
That's
really?
insane.
So I've been playing the drums for 3 years now.
Oh.
So I'm
this is news to me.
I'm a beginner.
Oh, okay.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I'm a beginner.
If you didn't know, Bono also plays the keys, he plays the bass, he plays the, what else?
Acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Electric,
Sings.
bass.
Yeah, just a
He
one-man show.
produces music.
Yeah.
He does everything.
So, wow. Okay. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. Where was I? Okay.
The
So
Wave.
here we were at the Wave, and then so I didn't know how to play to a click because I was so new to the drums. And then I think it was one night, we were playing Christ Be Magnified, and I messed up the thing so bad. Keenan was looking at me, Jolly was looking at me, and then you gave me the most bombastic side eye in the world, and I was
That's
uh-oh,
awkward.
I messed up. And then Jolly was cut the click, and then
What?
yeah,
Why'd
it
you
was
do that?
crazy.
I'm
So
sorry.
then I was asking myself is this really gonna work for me? Obviously I'm new, but I was just doubting my abilities as a drummer because I'm still new, and this thing is so new to me. But then I just persevered through it, and practice makes perfect, right? And as a beginner and as as a musician, you should always be practicing and putting effort into the instrument that you're playing in order to get better. And life is like that too. If you want to get better at something, you should actively persevere that. And so that's what I did. Now I'm here. I've been here for a year. It's just a great opportunity to be here to serve, and I've met the most amazing people here. I've been able to connect with people that I've seen at high school, Alex. I was in grade 5 when she graduated. I was in kindergarten when Jolly was there. And it's it was crazy.
It's just so funny.
yeah.
We're so old apparently, but we're not.
Yeah,
We're
and,
only 24.
I've
Just
all these people here I've looked up to, and it's just amazing to be able to serve with people that
that's- yeah.
I'm the baby of the group
You
essentially.
Yeah.
are.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's a really cool opportunity that I have, and I guess that you have too, to be able to serve with your teachers and your mentors.
Yeah.
And like when I first got here, I didn't realize like what that looks like or what that would look like.
Mhm.
But now seeing it, like I'm able to see you grow in the classroom and also see you grow like in worship.
Mhm.
It's a good experience, I think, for both of us. It's just growth on growth. Also, yeah, side note, I teach Bono.
Yeah, that's my homie
I'm
teacher.
Bono's teacher. So even this like dynamic right now where like we're just having a conversation on the couch is like very it's a different level that you would not get if you're anywhere else.
Mhm.
But here at CIV. So yeah, let's go back all the way. Because you know, I feel like, and Abraham said this in a sermon maybe 2 weeks ago. He said that you can see like what someone has gone through, and the way that their faith has been tested based on the way that they worship.
Yeah.
And you mostly play drums, and you can see that, like especially you, Bono. And I know like. I don't know if there's like this stigma behind drummers being like super stoic and like you know just like you know, but I don't think I've ever seen a drummer worship like you do when you play, and you know you just know that like God has worked in that person when they worship like that.
Yeah.
So on the topic of faith journeys, which we have been on so far in this season and the past season, we'd love to learn a little bit more about your faith journey and what keeps you in the church as a youth. I know that's like a really big thing. Like youth are stepping away, but what keeps you in it, and what are some things that you've gone through that have just allowed you to continue listening to God?
Yeah. So yeah, I was born into the SDA church. Like, you know, my parents were religious all their life. They've been Seventh-day Adventists like since they were kids, and I was born here. Got raised in the SDA church. Like, I grew up with like the very traditional conservative church, all those hymns and stuff. You know, I was always there. My faith journey was like, how do I say this? It was my parents' faith. So I didn't really have a choice. Like, okay, we're going to church this Saturday. Get ready. We're gonna be there at 10 o'clock. Get ready. So like every weekend, that's just how it was because I'm sure lots of people in our community grew up like that.
Mm-hmm.
We were just born into the church without knowing like what and who Jesus was for them. And it's been crazy. So I got baptized at 12 years old, and I did it because my parents wanted me to, and my dad was crying, my mom was crying, everybody was so happy. It's like, oh, praise God, you baptized. But then, okay, I got baptized like just because my parents were happy, and it wasn't really my faith.
Mm-hmm.
So because it wasn't really my faith, I didn't really know why I got baptized, and I always was questioning myself throughout then till now, like, why was I baptized and why am I here at church? So eventually I left the church for a little bit. I would like just not like I would say I would go to church, but like I wasn't like there, if you know what I mean. Like my mind wasn't there. I was just on my phone, or I was just sleeping, or I was like not even in the auditorium, like in the back with my friends eating snacks or whatever. Yeah, so I just, and then you know how it goes, like you leave the church, then you start to explore, because I was at that age, that adolescence, where I wanted to explore different things, because traditional church is so boring, and it's so, oh my goodness, literally sitting in that church, like the dynamic of the speaker, if you like, he yells the whole time. I'm not gonna say who this guy is, but like there's no no dynamic to the sermon. Like my ears were exploding. Like he's just yelling I didn't really know what was going on, if he was angry at us or like I didn't know. So it was crazy. So yeah, and then eventually I started to explore, meet new people, do things I met. So I no shame on like public school kids, but I became friends with some public school kids like around my area, and You know how that goes.
Mhm.
They're not like in the same environment as we are. Like
Mhm.
they're exposed to so much more things,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and like the world is so much more free to them because
Mhm.
like their parents don't have that same what's it called, values that we do
Yeah.
as Christians. And so yeah, I started to gain influence from them, and as like, witnessing what they did, it started to reflect on me.
Mhm.
Eventually I became like more like them, and you know that saying, like with the people that you hang out with, they reflect on you and you become like them. I don't, yeah. And
Mhm.
so yeah, I basically drifted from God completely, and my parents would be like, "Oh, you're baptized, right? You're baptized, right? You go to church, right? You're Adventist, right?" But like in reality, like I it was I was physically baptized, but I was not there with God.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So eventually, I started to realize that these things that I was doing and these people I was surrounding myself with and the environment I was putting myself in wasn't healthy for me.
Mhm.
And I started to realize that my satisfaction is not going to come from the world.
Mhm.
My satisfaction is only going to come from God.
Mm.
So I got rebaptized this last December. So it was amazing, and I yeah. So now after that, I just been trying to fully commit my life to God, and it's not a rough journey. If anyone tells you being baptized and being like, following God is easy, it's not. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially at a young age, like it's crazy difficult because I'm exposed to so many things, and compared to like our parents' generation, like they didn't have the exposure to so many things that we have. Like we
Mhm.
have access to so many dangerous things
Mm-hmm.
just through our telephones and
Mm.
everything. So it's just, yeah.
What would you say is, and it doesn't have to be one thing, because I think there's probably multiple factors that each of us have in our own lives. But as a young person who is um, defining you're defining your identity essentially of who you want to be in this world, and still figuring out who you are in Christ and who you are like as Bono. What are some of the things that keep you like in the church? Because I know it can be like so easy to look for those things somewhere else and be satisfied, but like you said, like the satisfaction only comes from God. But what constantly keeps you coming back?
Um, Honestly, like rekindling my connections with the people that I grew up with, like because I was like basically raised at Fraser, and all those people I grew up with, like and they've been there, but like I wasn't really super connected with them until recently.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I how to say this? What kept me in the church was the opportunities that I've been given here, specifically at
Mm.
CIV. Like the fact that we're pushing our youth and our kids to be more active in church and to serve more and to like be a witness to other people. Like it's so beautiful to see that kids my age are like going to small groups and like actively participating in like Bible studies and stuff. Like it's so beautiful to see, and that makes me want to like stay because I can connect with people that are my age and like continue to share my faith and grow in my faith with those people that I've
Mm.
known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like I never really appreciated it growing up, but one of the super super special things about growing up in like an Adventist church, an Adventist school, is just being surrounded by like-minded people
Mm.
who ultimately have the same goal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I also like I went to public school, like Alex went to public school too, but
Mhm.
you go to public school and those people just don't have that same mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy to feel like different, to
Yeah.
feel different. Like, am I thinking wrong? Like, is the way that they're thinking better? So like to be surrounded by so many like-minded people, that allows us to be grounded in our faith,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
right? And I think that's really special that you were able to find that here, and that you're continually finding that.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope like because you're a senior this year, I hope that when you move on, like you'll continue to find that, and you will.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you have the right tools to be able to find the right community to continue growing, because that's super important for sure.
Yeah, and I guess also to touch like on what you were just saying, Ryan, like even when being in public school, like I think for me that's like also a lesson in itself. Like sometimes, and I'm not trying to like I guess
Invalidate?
no, well, I guess like what you went through was probably for a reason. Like you sometimes we have to be in the midst of it to be like, oh shoot, like maybe this is not what I want. Also, as like someone, you're young. I mean, we're both young, but in this crucial age of your time, like you're trying to figure out like morals and like values and what you like and like who your friends are. And like even still at our age, we're still figuring that out too.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just so like such a crucial stage of your life. And don't get me wrong, like we've been there, done that, and
Living your best life. Go back to that episode. It's season 1, episode
first episode,
3.
So sometimes we have to be in those moments to figure out what it is we want. And like don't like we're young people, right? Like you get curious.
Oh yeah.
So like it's not to say that like just because you do it does not mean like you're
A bad
done
person.
for. And just because like
Yeah.
also the public school kids I know like are just so open to that like there isn't a chance for them to redeem themselves. You know what I mean? Because I think at the end of the day, like that's all that God really wants, right? Is just for us to like realize what it is, what's right from wrong, and like, oh shoot, like maybe I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm glad that you figured this out at this point of your life, because sometimes it takes people so much longer, so much deep, like later on in life to figure out like, oh shoot, like, okay, you're right. And I think your friends do play such a big role in that. And I'm glad that you have immersed yourself in a different environment. And also it's not to say that those friends that you did have, maybe you can, I don't know, shed some sort of light. Who knows? Maybe later down the road. I'm not saying like go and like preach to them, but
He does though. He really
I probably would do that.
You've been.
Okay, good for you. All right. Well, doing God's work. But yeah, I mean like even just being you know what I mean? Like your transformation
For
and
sure.
like your I through your talents, and I think people can see that. I see that. I'm like, oh wow, look at Bono go. And I think I'm hoping, you know, your peers right now, they're watching. Hopefully you're getting so much more viewers right now because of all the peers that are watching this. Hey guys. But they see someone that looks like them, you know what I mean? And they're like, shoot, that could be me, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I find myself so active in church because I feel so called to be like a light to my peers, because I can see so many of my classmates and like kids from like Deer Lake and whatever just like see me worshiping with you guys, and just to be a light towards them and to be an example of how you can be at such a young age, but God can still use you no matter how young you are. And me being like a musician, like of course I've been gifted, but there's so many talents that everybody has, and God has a purpose for what you can do, and no matter how old or how young you are, he has a purpose, and you can serve, and you can, you know, change the world just by, you know, doing the things that he calls you to do. And
I think one of the things that is like multi-generational, like no matter how old you are, one of the one things that you always yearn for is a place where you feel like you belong. Whether that be up on stage or in the front greeting people, or even like I see the like the people who collect like the little papers at Sabbath school.
Oh,
like the numbers.
Yeah.
Like everyone
The
just
elderly lady?
like there's an intention for everybody's place in the church, and like especially for young people, I think that is so important, because the world changes so fast. It's so hard to feel like you belong in one place. But like the one thing that doesn't change is God, right? So we will always just feel like we'll belong when we're in a place where he is. I'm gonna go off the rails a little bit here, just because I feel like, you know, that's just a usual thing. One of the themes that like I really see with young people now is the idea of purity. And what is purity? What does it look like? How do you live a pure life as a teen? Now I'm not gonna give you any definitions to sway you in any which way, but I would love if you could touch on what that looks like for you as a young person growing up in this world, and what it means for you to live a pure life.
I think to start with, like, I don't know if you know this term, brain rot. We all spend so much time on our phones and just consuming media so much throughout our days. And I was studying this thing, like an average person loses about 9.5 years of their life just on their phone. It's kind of crazy to think, but that's a lot of time we've wasted.
Ton of time, yeah.
Scrolling on our phones and just like, waking up every morning checking our phones. Like, imagine if our phone was the Bible. If we woke up morning, just spent 30 minutes to read our Bible every day, or just to spend some time talking to God or whatever. Like, I think a way to start living a purer life, like, I don't think we can fully be pure because we're full of sin and this world is full of sin, right? So, but I think if we can just start to settle down, put our habit down of just picking up our phones every morning, check whatever right away. What if we started to invest that time we would use on our phone to talk to God? And I feel like it's so important to invest in our relationship with God. In order to feel like you're living a pure life is to actually establish that connection with God, and that's not possible without actually encountering him and being a witness to others through that. And I think for me, I love hiking, I love walking, I love road trips, and I love experiencing like nature. And I feel like a big way to encounter God is through nature. So I will like go on a walk at like 6 a.m. or whatever, or like just talk to God, like just wake up, just pray, just doing those small things, and eventually it becomes habit, and eventually that will become a way where you can start to live a more pure life, I guess, by investing more into that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I relate to that whole what you said, going on walks and like being, even if it is to just go on a walk, because everybody's like faith journey is so different. Everybody's walk and like communion time with God is so different. So, and I totally like what you said. What if we, instead of picking up our phones, we could pick up the Bible?
It's like such a simple concept, but
Yeah,
I feel like that's like harder said than done.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's so true though. Like, this thing is such a distraction to us. Like, I mean, in our faith journeys, like, this is a distraction. I guess like back then for the older people, not the older people,
The
more
wiser generation.
people. Still trying to offend anybody, but yeah, this is what has the world, I guess, in a trance. And I so relate to brain rot.
Mom was right. It was the phone.
But yeah, but also it's so important what we look into, like when we're scrolling, like what is it that we're scrolling? Because sometimes I will be real, like and maybe you can relate in that sense. Like, I used to be somebody who would like follow up with the celebrities. You know what I mean? Like now we're just gonna be really real.
Keeping
and like
up with the
talk like about
Kardashians.
the times.
Oh yeah, over there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, just like I would be like, oh, I'm following like this Kardashian, or I'm following like this influencer and like Gigi Hadid or whatever, you know what I mean? And at one point in my life, I'm like, why am I keeping up with these people like who do not, even if like we are so immersed in technology and like in social media, it's like, what are we consuming? And I had to sit down with myself and also like make it like think about, this is the way we connect with one another, but what am I consuming? What is right? And yeah, and I just like went on this journey, and I was trying to find like people that actually make me think, people that actually make me like, okay, even if I am picking up my phone, I guess you can say, is what I'm seeing, is what I'm like consuming, is it, right by God, or what is it benefiting me, if that makes sense? Because also like brain rot technically, if you're brain rotting right, it can turn into brain.
Brain.
Where are you
What's
going
the
with
opposite
this?
of rot?
Uh,
Flourish? I don't know.
brain flourish.
But yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like yapping, but I mean, this is the biggest distraction, but also it can be used for good if you think about it
Yeah.
too.
100%.
Yeah. But
Yeah. I think like when we think of purity, we always think of like it's this thing that you need to keep, right? Like it's this thing that you can't touch. Like as soon as it, or like at least for me, like as a Christian, like as soon as you're impure, like that's it. It's over, right? And I feel like growing up, I thought that when I was going to be baptized, it would just like flip, right? It'd be like, okay, like I'm pure now.
I know what
I
you're
can't,
saying.
like I'm just not even pure. But I was listening to this podcast from, what's her name? She sings on Elevation. She has the blonde bob. Tiffany
Hudson?
Hudson.
Oh, I love her.
And she spoke on purity, and she said essentially that like, so the definition of purity is to be unmixed. So what does it look like to be unmixed, right? Is when I worshiping, like, is my worship mixed with pleasing God and pleasing the people who are listening? Or is it like completely unmixed, and are my intentions completely pure? Right? So when I think of like our lives and our faith journeys and how we grow up with brain rot and social media and stuff, purity is not, like you said, it's not a state, right? It's something that is maintained.
Right.
Because like, you know, pure white, like if something's pure white, it can get dirty and then you just clean it off, right? So when I think of like life, I guess I think of it like in that way, where it's like, yeah, like we're only pure when we're with God, and when we're maintaining that relationship with Him. So, yeah.
No, it's, yeah.
Tiffany
Hudson, yeah.
What a great singer. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you went to that Elevation concert,
Oh, it
didn't
was
you?
so good.
We were all there. Yeah, we all went.
Red String Theory? No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No, it was so, I guess, now we're talking about worship, but
Yeah, no, we can get into that too.
it was quite the experience. And I think also about like you, Bono, like the way you worship through what your instrument that you play. And I think about like we are kind of similar in the sense that like we listen to the same type of music, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
Like Elevation, like we all went to their concert, like we love them. I love them. Yeah. And just to see, like Ryan already touched on this, but just to see the way that you worship and like you can tell a person, you know, how they are and the way they come into the presence of God, if that makes sense. Regardless if you're singing, playing drums, or even like the band, like you can see how they just surrender in that moment. But yeah, I guess for just like us, worship was the way that brought us back to church, and it has kept us in church. And I'm glad that CIV has given this opportunity to our generation too, because like I'm gonna be completely honest with you, if it wasn't for worship, I probably wouldn't be in the church. Like if I'm being complete, and probably same goes for you.
Yeah, 100%.
And same goes for him.
100%.
So like worship has been such a crucial part of my faith journey, and I know I'm not the only one. And if like I could just like also keep making that known, like there's just something about those like that Elevation nights and all those like those bands that we used to listen to, and it's just like they just strike a chord with us. And yeah, I guess for us, like music is just something that really speaks to us, and that's how I get like connected with God, is through music. So
yeah, I think like growing up, you would listen to these songs and be like, oh, that's a good song. But now that I'm a little older, like I listen to that song and I'm like, oh my goodness, like that's real.
Yeah, when you start really listening to it for what it is, like the lyrics, like.
Yeah. So Bono, I would love to ask you, like, because you're such a musical person, and like you are, like your faith is ingrained in the music that you do. So why is that so important to how you maintain your faith? And what is your favorite worship song at the moment?
Okay, first one.
I like that question.
Wait, say it again. The first one.
Why is music such an
Okay.
integral part of your faith journey?
Yeah. Like Alex said, if it wasn't for the worship here, I probably would not be in the church. Like, growing up in the very conservative church, you were so restrictive. Like, you stand and you sit, you stand and you sit, and like you can't move. They're very like strict about like what instruments you play. Like, apparently the drums are like demonic or something. And yeah, so because of that, like I felt so bored at the church, and like I felt like, wow, are these people really worshiping, or are they just here? Like,
That's true.
like witnessing that, like nothing against nothing against the conservative church. It's just more like I felt like these people were like very restricted to their faith and how they like, I guess, like present themselves in church. Like, it's like you have to wear these kind of clothes and you have to look a certain way, and like if you're not, then they're gonna judge you. But here at CIV, who cares what you wear? Who cares? Like, we're here for you, and this place isn't a safe space. And you know, I think if Jesus was here today, he would be with those people that like he would be with the druggies, he would be with the addicts. And like I feel like because of that, and like tying in with worship, like I've been able to express myself so much more with the opportunity and like the how worship is here. Like, because like I'm able to be so expressive, I can like, I guess, have some sort of like surrender, just like, you know, lifting my hands and whatever, just like letting the Holy Spirit control the way my body moves and how I'm playing my instrument. Like, I think being able to actually like express myself and, you know, being free to worship has made me keep my faith so strong. And, you know, music has been it's like the biggest part of my life, and, you know, tying my faith in with music, I've just been able to pursue my faith with both together. It's just beautiful. Yeah. And my favorite worship song
Right now, I know it like changes all the time. They're releasing music maybe like once a month.
there's this song called Jesus You Alone by Highlands Worship, and it's just just talks about how holy he is and how he stands before everyone else like that. He's Jesus, and like we can do nothing but worship him and just like praise him. And I feel like that's like my life right now. Just wow, I'm nothing without Jesus. Like, it's crazy to think that people can like be something without God. And like I've tried, like I've been there. I tried to shut him out, but he came coming right back. And yeah, it's just
That's real.
I want to touch a bit about because you are a senior, and so you're probably transitioning into this new journey that is going to happen after you graduate. So do you want to share with us a little bit about what made you, I mean, I kind of already know what you're going into, but
okay.
what maybe we share with everyone.
What's the plan?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What's
And
the next steps?
what makes you want to do what you want to do?
So I've decided that I want to take up ministry as my life. So I'm going to be going to Birmingham University to take theology.
Let's go.
And hopefully be a pastor and commit my life to ministry. Yeah. That decision, well, it was hard. Well, because at a young age, like my parents were always like, "Oh, you should be a pastor. You should be a pastor." And then I took it seriously maybe for like 2 months, and then I forgot about it. Then I wanted to be a firefighter, and then whatever. And then with worship and with the music, it all just kind of, it like stacked upon each other and led me to the decision where like, wow, I think I need to commit my life to ministry. And it's just, yeah.
Coming for Jolly's job.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Hey,
Yeah,
if you need to step down, I'm here.
in 4 years, she's gonna step down. Wow. Well, okay, so you hear that now, Jolly? You have competition.
No.
I'm kidding. No, you can come back and maybe collab. I don't know. What does that look like? You never know what 4 years from now can look
Hey,
like.
CIV, if you have work for me in 4 years,
He's
oh.
like putting his resume on this podcast.
They're gonna go back. You're gonna put this link in your job application. It'll be the link to this podcast. 4 years later.
That's so funny. But yeah, no, that's a heavy decision to make.
Yeah.
Like
Heavy,
ministry
super
is
heavy.
like I'm not a pastor, so I shouldn't say anything, but I've seen also like to commit your life to that. And that's a heavy calling, but like when
It
God
is.
calls, you
Yeah.
gotta go. And I think also that's like it's a leap. It's definitely a leap.
Yeah.
I can say also from just me stepping into the ministry of youth, and I'd never thought that I would be in a position like this also. So hopefully this be some encouragement to you too in this moment. But I guess for me, I see how God has changed my life. You know, why can't I be that vessel, that light to others as well? And like, you know, to our young people too. Because for us, next gen, the leaders, we came up with what verse would really tie up what it is that we're about. And it came back to 1 Timothy 4:12. If you don't know it, I'll read it to you quickly. Where is it? It's, don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in faith, in love, and in purity. And even like for me now, I even take that verse to heart, because I'm like, there are days, like Bono, it doesn't always get easier, but there are days, even when you're in your 20s, where things will get hard when you're actually in it too, and you're like, oh shoot, like what's going on? But you have to remind yourself, like, okay, it's you and God at the end of the day. Like, God, if this is what you want me to do, regardless of what is coming in this year or what's being written to you in emails or whatever, like, at the end of the day, as long as you have like a heart of service that is genuine and authentic, that should be like enough for you to like go day by day, and also knowing that like God's got you regardless, even if it is maybe you want to be worship somewhere, like not pastor but worship. I don't know, I feel like I could see you writing songs, you know what I mean, like, but who knows what it looks like. Maybe he's gonna be the next Elevation Worship,
The next Stephen Furtick.
yeah.
Oh.
Next Chris Brown.
Yeah.
My dream is to tour with them one day. So we'll
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm just like, I don't know if this sounds okay to say, but I'm a product of what CIV has cultivated here, if that makes sense. Like, what I'm doing is because of CIV, and again, like the worship, and you also are, like, we have kind of like the similar journey, because I remember when Bono was like this small. So it's just like beautiful to see when people your age want to commit their life to Christ and do it genuinely, not because it's also just like trendy, you know what I mean? But yeah,
And it's fun when it's like when your ministry is fun.
Yeah.
Like our ministry, like our worship ministry, like we're being able to worship and lead people into worship. It's just so fun.
It
Like,
is fun.
I just have so much fun. And I think there was a time in my life when it wasn't fun because I wasn't doing it, or I thought I was just doing it for myself.
Yeah.
And doing it for the people who were asking me to do it. But I think when you really get that like heart of service, and like you realize the pure intentions of why you're worshiping, and who you're worshiping, like it's just fun time. And yeah, I see that in you all the time.
100%,
Like
yeah.
whether you're vulnerable in worship or you're just like vibing out, like you are well on your way to just be like super genuine in your worship.
Yeah.
Or you're already there, but like just goes out from now, you know what I'm saying?
It was funny, at Walla Walla church service, I got to do the scripture reading, so that was crazy. Like, I just got an email from their worship pastor, like, yo, you should do the scripture reading. I was like, okay. And then we go into the worship like service, like the songs, and like everyone was sitting, but I was standing, just raising my hands, you know.
That was a good worship service.
Yeah, it was.
We were there.
Yeah, we did. We all came back from Walla Walla not too long ago, and also just seeing you worshiping with some of the peers, like the soccer kids.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were right behind
when
you.
we were outside.
Yeah, that was so cute. I love
Oh.
that. Like, they started it. They got up and they just like were like just letting free, and I was like, oh my goodness, those are our kids. Like those
Yeah.
are our kids. Like everyone else was, not to say I'm not like calling anybody out, but what I'm saying was like, I just saw you guys in that moment. Like if I'm being real, when I was a kid in Fraser, I did not do that. Like I was very shy,
Mm.
and not even shy. It wasn't even trendy or cool. We were just like standing there like this, which it's also like it's a generational thing too. Like, but I love that you're breaking down those barriers and those walls, just to like, in that moment, like we're singing. What were you guys singing?
Oh, it was more than able.
More than able, exactly. Like, I could now that I do worship, right? It's like I can't just sit still and just be like you said, it's expressive. It's how I'm expressing myself. Whether it is me just, and there are times where I do stand there and I take it in for what it is and I meditate on it.
Yeah.
But if there's times where I'm just like, nah, God, like,
Take it.
yeah, just
Take it from
declaring
me.
it. Here I am.
Yeah.
Type of thing. You just gotta let go, and yeah. But yeah, so that was really beautiful to say. I haven't told you that, but I'm telling you that now. Yeah.
I think there's like such huge merit in hearing, like you guys as young people, and hearing your guys' stories and hearing how, like the struggles that you guys go through, because I feel like maybe from an older person's standpoint, we look at you guys and we just think, well, I mean, I don't, but like, because I've been there too. But I feel like maybe older people think at your guys' age, you're just like free and having fun and like don't give a care in the world. But realistically, like you guys are going through real struggles and figuring out real fates. So it really takes a lot for you as a young person to be able to stand here and say like, I am going through struggles and I'm still learning. But at the end of the day, that's literally all of us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's so many people out there who I know have probably a very similar story to you, and are going through very different things, but do want to see that light at the end of the tunnel, right? So I think it's so important that like what we're doing now and sharing stories of just showing stories of all the generations and how we're still navigating our faith, regardless of what age and who we are. And I hope you know, Bono, like as your teacher and as your mentor, like I'm learning so much from you and your peers, as much as I hope you're learning from us. So it really is and needs to be a reciprocal relationship between the older and the younger generation. If we constantly think that we're in a state higher than you guys, it will never, like, that just generational wall will never be broken down. So as long as we're constantly learning from each other and letting ourselves learn from each other, then like the relationships that we build through that like will be unbreakable. So thank you for sharing. We really appreciate you.
No, yeah, it does take a lot of bravery and vulnerability as someone your age too. I don't think I would do that if I'm being honest at your age. So I appreciate you coming on to here and sharing that, and hoping like your peers. And it's not to say that like all the kids that don't want to share, you know, they don't have to, but even if it's just to see like their friend, and you know, that's enough for them.
Or like hearing that someone is going through the same thing as them.
Yeah.
Like that's huge. So yeah, we asked this question on the pod a lot, and you are still a very young person.
Maybe
but
do it for, what would you tell your older self? I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
If you're
Okay.
gonna go to someone like 40?
Okay, so remember when you're gonna send this video to your job application 4 years from now, what would you want to tell your older self?
My older self? What is my older self gonna be like? That's the thing. What am I gonna tell him? Bono, if it gets hard, just keep going. God's there. He's got your back. He's, even if you think he's gone, he's still there. And no matter what, he'll be there to catch you. I actually did a sermon recently about Peter walking on the water, and how Jesus was there to pick him up when he started sinking. So yeah, I would go back to that verse. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice. We've never asked the question like that.
Yeah, I
before.
don't know. It's like maybe try something new. Yeah. No, well, thank you for sharing, Bono. And yeah, I hope your older self will look back and be like, oh, little Bono.
Yeah, we'll look back to. We'll be like,
Not growing.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you. And to those of you who are watching, thanks for listening too. And also thank you for supporting our young people, because without your guys' support, we would literally not be on this couch sharing. And also, I don't think someone like Bono would be able to come and be comfortable enough with, and sharing his story. But yeah, so thank you. And are we throwing another follow, subscribe?
Of course, yeah. Always like, follow, subscribe. If you know anybody who you think would be well in the pod, please let us know. We're always looking for new people, but let us know if you think there's anyone that you would like to see on the pod.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we know there's a lot of people in our CIV family that we can learn from. So if there's somebody, send them our way. If it's you, come and talk to us. But yeah, so thank you again, guys, for tuning in. So yeah, don't forget to love God,
Love people.
And serve the world.